Well, fellas, today we're going to take a look at Master Lock's new Bluetooth lock. It's the model 4401. There's another one, model 4400. They both work almost identically. They make a lot of claims on here, and they say this is level 8 on their security scale, and they talk about resistance to water, bolt cutters, shimmying, and all that. We're going to check all that stuff out. It's not a bad looking lock. They put a lot of thought into this. Just want to get that right out there. And they had to, because in order to get this lock out of the packaging, you have to destroy the packaging. And that's because the instructions are tucked down inside of there, and then the shackle covers it up. So in order to get at your instructions, you have to destroy it. Why do you want to protect it? Well, there's two pieces of information here that you don't want, somebody walking down Home Depot to walk up and see this, because first of all, it tells you how to get into the lock right away using a manual method, and we'll use that in just a moment. And it also gives you a very unique serial number, a registration number. They call this the activation code. So before we get too far along, let's look at how do we use this thing manually using the arrow code. Well, you'll notice on this disc, if you look very closely, you can see little arrows on there, and you just follow your arrow code. So in this case, it's up, left, right, up, down, left, right. And we get a green. So you saw two codes there. You saw a blue color, which indicates, we do it again, you see that that's locked. And then when we open it up, and I know you guys are counting, and you notice I had to push 7 arrows. So we have 4 possibilities. And there are a total of 7 entries. So if you do the permutations on that, you guys are out there ciphering right now. I got it. 16,384. So I've got to tell you, if you're going to try to pick into this lock, might be a little bit difficult. You're going to be there, well, bring a bag with a sandwich, because it's going to take you all day, and your battery is probably not going to last that long. There's a couple other codes on here you might want to take a look at too. Notice when we lock it, we get a blue indication that it's relocked, a visual indicator. And then if we are punching in our code and we get something wrong, we enter 7 or the 8th and they're wrong, you're going to get red, which indicates wrong code. Try it again, Bill. The last code I can't show you because it's a battery indicator code. This is a brand new lock, brand new battery. But when you push on the center of it and you get a yellow, or you begin entering your code and you get a yellow indicator, that tells you your battery is got about 15 more openings. At that point, you probably want to change your battery, because if it dies, no, you don't lose your lock. You don't have to throw your $50 lock away. Instead, it's a pretty neat system. You pull off the bottom cover, like so, and you'll notice we have some contacts. And we're going to take a look at all of these other things in a moment, but let's say our battery completely died because Bill went to a public school and was too stupid to change out the lock. All I've got to do is get myself a 9-volt battery. You notice we got a connector, and you can't get the polarity wrong. We slide it on there, and it actually clips in place, and we're basically jumping. It holds on there, and we're basically jumping this lock off again. And it allows us to get in. We're in. Once we've used our 9-volt battery to get in there, and our internal battery is dead, now we can open it. Now, let's take a look at that, how that works. You'll notice, let me grab a screwdriver here. You notice we got a screw, and if we turn it, now let's get this straight too. This screw will only turn when the shackle is open, and I'll prove it to you. You can see it's already boogered up because I've tried it. It just will not turn. There's an internal locking mechanism with the servo that blocks this from turning when the shackle is closed. So I can't simply access the battery. Not going to work. All right, back open. Once it's open, different story. Put the screwdriver on there, very lightly turn it 90 degrees, and the window comes open. Inside of there is a CR2 battery. They call it the CR2450. It's a CR2. It's a standard camera battery. Very easy to pop out of there, very easy to replace. When you pop it out, no, it does not lose all of the coating or anything like that. It will still work. All you do is you pop a new battery in there. You don't have to do any programming at all. You are back in business that quick. Oh, rubber coat. There we go. Get on there. Got to turn it the right way, Bill. Ha! Gravity, I love it. Man, this thing is picky. There we go. All right, back in business. It is locked. All right, there's other ways to get in this. I'm going to leave that bottom cover off. If you read the instructions, it tells you to go to the App Store and download something called the MasterLock Vault eLock app. It looks like this when you go to the web store, and I've already downloaded it, but I'll tell you, don't look trying to put it on an iPad. It's only for the iPhone, so search for iPhone app for eLock and you'll find it. And then, of course, it will run on an iPad just fine. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up. Now, there is a pretty messed up registration process. That part was not so well thought out. It's pretty clunky. You've got to give them a real email. They mail a registration to you, and send you a link. You will go back in and then tell it what the secret, what your activation code is. And as soon as you tell it the activation code, it will assign that lock to you. Pretty cool system. Now, I've only got one lock. If you had more, they would be all lined up here. So I've only got one to play with. We're going to click on that. Now, you'll notice that once we have the Bluetooth on here, or the app on here, we can press any button, and these two will communicate with Bluetooth, and it will tell us that we've got an open. It's a very, very cool system. Likewise, when we lock it, we get a red or blue indicator, and then we get a blue indicator on our screen. Now, let's say you're in class and you can't take your cell phone or your iPad into class. You really don't want to leave the phone inside of your locker, because then anybody walking by can just push the button, bam, they get in your locker, they steal your phone, bad news all around. So they have something called a locker mode. I might have to move this down just a little bit. So enable locker mode, we just click on that, and now your phone can't communicate. You're going to have to open it manually. So we say OK, and at that point, if our phone is in the locker, it will not allow the lock to work at all. Pretty cool system. Now, in order to get in here, the only way to get into it, of course, is our manual system. We can open up our lock, get in our locker, and retrieve our phone. We can disable this if that's what we want to do. Very easy. Very well thought out, I've got to say. Very neat system. All right. Let's look at some vulnerabilities. You're already starting to see some openings on the lock, but before we'd go any further, when we looked at the no-key lock, there were more than 100 comments saying dip it in water, and possibly the water will short out something inside that will then cause it to open like magic. I'm going to try that. I'm going to reassemble all this stuff. I'm going to put a chain on this, and we're going to dunk this in water and see if it's water resistant and see if we can make it open for us. All right, fellas, before we take a chance on ruining this lock forever, let's go ahead and take a look at one thing. We might never see it again. You'll notice we have rounded cuts in our shackle, which indicates there are ball bearings inside of here, and of course they're locked in place by a servo. So shimming, I know a lot of you would ask, on this lock is not going to be a possibility. All right, I'm going to go ahead and lock it. It does indicate lock. I still have the iPad app on, so if I click on it, we're going to get an open. So it should work. Let's try, first of all, they don't say this is waterproof, they say water resistant. Let's find out. And I got a huge chain on there. We're going to probably use that later. But let's just give it a quick dunk and then find out if it is water resistant. All right, in, out, and let's find out. Do we have an open? Yeah, man, that worked pretty good. All right, let's try something a little more aggressive. Let's just take it and leave it for a while. Alright guys, it's been probably close to 20 minutes, totally submerged in water. Let's go ahead and take a look. Try not to drip too much on the bench. And let's find out if this dude is going to work. How cool is that? Got an open. I didn't think we'd ever see that again, but there we go. Alright, totally submerged for more than 20 minutes. I think that's pretty water resistant. Very nice. All right, but we're not done with this thing. I'm going to go ahead and take the covers off, and we're going to let some water, we're going to expose it, and then we're going to submerge it one more time, see what we can get. All right, got these protective covers completely removed. This thing's going to be exposed. The water, it's open. I'm going to lock it. We got a signal. It's blue. Let's make sure it works again. Perfect. All right, lock it again. Got a blue signal. Let's give it a quick dunk and see what happens. Okay, water's definitely getting inside of the lock now. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and drain it out. And let's see if it works. Bet it doesn't. Oh my God. It's still working. All right. Lock it back up. Get it blue. Still locked. Let's let him soak for a little while. All right, guys, it's about another 20 minutes, totally submerged. Let's find out, come out of there, if this thing is truly waterproof. Water's still dripping out of it. All right, let's find, oh my God. Okay, I think we can safely say that this has exceeded the claim of water resistant. All right, let's move on to the next test. Next one is I'm going to beat the crap out of this thing with a hammer. That's why I connected it to the chain so we could clamp it up in the vise. Let's hop to it. All right, guys, got this chained up on the vise. Plenty of room to swing with. I'm going to go ahead and position the camera. I'm going to zoom in a little bit and give you a good view of what's going on. I'm going to first use just a regular hammer. Let's see if we can crack this dude open. And there you go. Nothing to it. What was it? 3 licks with a regular house hammer, with a claw hammer, and we are in. Past the ball bearings and everything. That was totally unexpected. Alright guys, just for the heck of it, I'm going to take some 48-inch bolt cutters. Let's see if we get that centered. I got the shackle in the vise. You can see the teeth on this. They're not new, but they're in very good shape. No gouges or anything. Let's just find out, if I can pick them up, if this really is boron. All the way into the back. Let's see what you got. I'm gonna have to say no. That feels like real boron. Let me put these guys on the floor so I don't drop them on my feet. The best I managed to do is a couple of small gouges. So I'm thinking bolt cutters, at least to resist that. All right, next take a look at a grinder. I don't have a small battery-powered die grinder, but I do have a very large DeWalt. Let's find out if we can get in with it. Yeah, I'm gonna have to say it really is boron. So we got that going for it. Let me put this fire out. All right guys, a few licks with a hammer pretty well messed this thing up, but I put the battery back in and just want to see what happened, and it does work. You get a open, which that's kind of the way it is, isn't it? Anyway, let's go ahead and crack this dude open. You still open? And see what's inside of here. I think might be interesting. Well, there's what we have inside. We have our little actuator motor, and we have a cam located here, and I'll show you how the cam works to do the unlock in a minute. You have the electronic circuitry for the Bluetooth and the encryption and all that, and it's still marking this as being open, and it is. Anyway, your actuator interlocks with this little locking bar. Let me zoom in on this so you can get a little bit better look. So we have a little actuator here, and when it lies in there upside down like so, it ties into that part. When the actuator opens it, it's spring-loaded. Pretty powerful little spring, and there's a little notch on the side of it there. It pulls it down. It allows these locking, they're not really locking balls. They're kind of little cylinders, but they work the same way. And when the actuator releases it, it pushes these little cylinders into the cutouts on the shackle. Pretty neat, I gotta say. These are hardened steel. Everything else in here appears to be that the body is cast metal. All of these pieces are cast metal, and the actuator itself, this is plastic. Oops, this is plastic, and that's just a little piece of cast metal. It popped off a second ago. Not important, but that's just a cheap piece of chromed cast metal. I'm not an electronics guy. I can't tell you how difficult this would be to bypass. On the Nokia lock, I had about 1,000 of you guys swearing that you knew how to bypass Bluetooth and beat the encryption and miraculously get in. Rather than words this time, I'd appreciate it if you guys would show me a demo. So let's do it rather than tell me what your theories are. Anyway, this thing is very well waterproofed. It's got a coating of something covering the circuitry, which explains why it worked when we left it submerged for so long. So Master Lock, I think you guys did a wonderful job on the design, the interface, the software. The outer part, maybe not so much. This cast metal, definitely, you guys said it was an 8. Given that the outside is cast metal and this thing gave up the ghost in about 3 or 4 good licks with a regular claw hammer, I would say it's more like a 4. Probably a 4 would be more appropriate. It's definitely not a vault. Don't lock anything up that's really valuable, but for lockers, gym lockers, school lockers, probably nothing wrong with it. I think it would serve adequately. Just a little bit complex technology to be using for those applications, but if that's what you want to do to show off, go for it. Anyway, fellas, there you go. The Master Lock Model 4401 DLH. A lot of you asked for it, and now you got it. Thanks for your time. Stay safe. Stay legal.